We unfortunately lost a good one. The Patriots did, as they did not retain wide receiver Jakobi Meyers. Jakobi Meyers, the Patriots slot receiver, for the last couple of years now, he decided to sign with the Las Vegas Raiders. He's getting a 3-year, $33 million contract from Vegas. Average of about $11 million a year, but it's, I know you can get into the nitty-gritty of the contract details, but it's basically a year-to-year deal. So $11 million per. A lot of reports out there, Alex, over the last month or so were that Jakobi was going to command anywhere from 12 to as high as 20 is what I heard at some point over the last 45 days. And so, yeah, they get him on, something rather cheap compared to what I thought he was going to go for. And I thought the Patriots could have matched it. Maybe this tells us that there's something else maybe cooking behind closed doors down in Foxborough on the receiver front. Maybe they go to the draft, but this was the big Patriots move of the day, or lack thereof, was Jakobi going to Las Vegas and reuniting with Josh.
Patriots Beat is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet.
Yeah, I kind of came in ready for them to get priced out on Meyers. Like you said, that $12 to $15 million number. I really thought it was going to be on the higher side of that. He comes in at 11 per, very little money guaranteed, at least initially. I don't like losing Meyers as a single entity is not necessarily bad for the Patriots. And I've said this before, they need to upgrade at that position. Not just wide receiver, but in the slot, and those snaps have to come from somewhere.
Right.
But they need to upgrade. So, I'm surprised they weren't in it at this money. And there was a report from Ian Rappaport this afternoon that was basically the Patriots said, we can't match that. They could have. I think it's more so we won't match that.
Right.
If that's the plan, fine. Or if that's the plan, fine, but how are you going to then go and spend that money?
Right.
All right. This is
got to be used.
Even call it, because they have to up the Raiders offer, right? It can't be 1-for-1. Call it $12 million a year. Where are you using that $12 million a year? You put that into somebody, another big contract, put that money elsewhere, or are they just going to sit on it? And if they just sit on it, it's a mistake, because having Jakobi Meyers is better than simply not addressing that position with a significant asset. And I would even say, if they're going to go to the draft, having Meyers would still be an asset, because this is a very crucial year. And for a team that has struggled to develop wide receivers, you're going to put a first-round pick in a really tough spot. And that kid's going to need to succeed immediately. Last time they had a receiver in a spot like that was N'Keal Harry.
Right.
So I don't feel good. I don't feel great about that. That being said, if they take this money, they go out, they trade for Jerry Jeudy, they use it to give him a long-term deal. They did what they needed to do. They upgraded. And it sucks. We all like Jakobi. And as a side note, I'm incredibly happy for him. Did all of this the exact right way. Think about the team he came to. They had Julian Edelman, Josh Gordon. They had added Antonio Brown a couple of weeks after he signed. They just used a first-round pick and a guy in N'Keal Harry. He's a UDFA.
Yep. Played
some his rookie year, but then really put his head down, worked his ass off to get better, becomes the leading receiver here for the next 3 years. Was, I don't think ever really given his due credit, but kept his head up. The way he handled what happened in Vegas this year, all of it, a consummate professional,
and there
great
he goes,
teammate.
right back to them.
Right. And that's bold on his part, because that's going to get that play back on the timeline. But a guy that deserves every single cent he has coming his way. Could not be happy for Jakobi. That being said, right? So, all right, if you take that money and you go and spend it, yeah, we all like Jakobi, but it's a business, and they took that money and they used it to make the team better. That's what you want here. So I'm not going to sit here and say they've destroyed their wide receiver core, because they haven't yet. If it's May 1st and this is still the group, I'm going to come back to this move and say, why the hell weren't they in on it?
Right.
They decimated their group. So and I know this, people are going to say this, I don't want to bash the team and I'm just making excuses. No, I'm just saying this is half the picture. We sat here last night and did a show saying we kind of felt good about where things were because Jakobi hadn't signed elsewhere yet. This is how it works. It's a process.
Yeah, the dominoes didn't fall in the wide receiver market yet.
Right. We could come back tomorrow and Jeudy and Hopkins and Sutton and all these guys could have been dealt to other teams. And then it's really time to start ripping your hair out.
Right.
We could come back and none of those guys could have moved and we could still be here sitting. I don't know. As it stands right now, I still think at wide receiver, the path is there for the Patriots. They do what they need to do this offseason. But the cost of making those moves has only gone up.
Right.
And the margin for error has only shrunk.
Right.
So that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, I tend to agree, right? It's like, okay, you let Jakobi walk. You still still have to repair the room. So repair the room. You can't make the room can't go back to where it was, right? Like you can't make a lateral move with Jakobi.
Right. So let me say this.
You need to get better now that he's gone.
Even if they had given Jakobi Meyers this contract, I would be sitting here right now saying, okay, what's the next move at wide receiver? And as Mike cuts out there, probably pivot more towards DeAndre Hopkins at that point, a boundary guy with, and I think we've lost Mike, but somebody please screen grab that.
Oh, God, I'm back.
Maybe if they signed Myers, we pivot more towards Hopkins, a boundary guy with Myers playing in the slot. But like, if they'd signed Myers, I'd still be sitting here saying, what's the next move? So it doesn't change much. It's just the urgency to make that move at wide receiver only becomes more urgent.
Am I back?
Yes.
What was the screen grab?
Somebody tweeted at him. I'm sure somebody grabbed it.
Okay. I lost it. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Something going on with my Wi-Fi, but we're back. So yeah, again, some of what you said, Alex, but they need to make the room better. They can't just be like that.
Yeah, I know. So what I was saying was that even if they'd re-signed Myers, I'd still be sitting here saying, is DeAndre Hopkins still in play? Can 100%. They go get DeAndre Hopkins?
Right. So now they have to make two moves instead of one. Really?
I still think they can make one, but like it could have been, they could have re-signed Jakobi. Maybe it's not Hopkins, but somebody else, right? Maybe like one tier down.
Yeah, okay.
A guy like Corey Davis, right? Who we think now is going to get cut from the Jets.
Right.
You know, Myers and yeah, Davis, you bring back Myers. You're doing okay. Let's see what you do in the draft.
Right.
Now it's got to be one of these top tier guys. It has to be Hopkins. It has to be Judy. Maybe it's a guy we don't know is available yet, but a guy like that.
That's sort of what, like, it's too bad that, you know, it had to come out this way because that was Mac's guy. I mean, he was the leading receiver on the Patriots.
So there's that element of it too.
It's like, okay, so I have the numbers in front of me. He caught 150 balls for 1,670 yards and 8 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons from Jones. He was the security blanket. He was the guy they were able to run the offense through, or lack thereof an offense last year. But they still had the rapport. He trusted Jakobi. And so now you have to not only repair the room, but you have to bring in a guy that Mac can use as that security blanket, or that not so much a go up and get it guy, but a guy who Mac can look to on third down and be like, this is where I know I can go. And they lost that now in Jakobi. So you need to make sure you have that, you know, that better move. So how do they do it? That's sort of where I'm going. Let's touch on that, Alex, because you have Jerry Jeudy who's out there. You have Hopkins, you have Jeudy, but you can also go to the draft and guys like Zay Flowers, right. You know, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Where should they, or where do you think they go? Because I guess what makes sense now, because now you're looking at Devontae Parker, you look at Kendrick Bourne, and Tyquan Thornton, and that's really the core you're dealing with here.
Veteran, true slot receiver.
Okay.
Whether that's Jerry Jeudy, you know, does Hunter Renfrow become available? Do they see overlap in Vegas between Renfrow and Myers? Maybe McDaniels wants to play them both. Like, there's a way that could work too, but I also kind of feel like McDaniels is trying to tear down that roster and get his guys in there, because outside of the fact that Darren Waller refused to play for him because he exposed his wedding to the media, I don't see stuff. And by the way, look, that Vic Taffer on Twitter has that story. Outstanding. I see no reason why you make that trade. Honestly, for the Raiders, this signing doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, I get it in the sense that, you know, Jakobi Meyers is familiar with that system, and Josh probably likes him. And by the way, this goes back to something I said last night, right? About Josh McDaniels is panicking because he didn't get Brady or Rodgers, and now is just trying to go to what's familiar instead of maybe trying to build out a talented roster.
Don't leave Dave. I wouldn't leave Dave Ziegler out of this either, though, because it's but the two of them, Dave Ziegler.
Oh, when I say Josh McDaniels, it represents like the Josh McDaniels administration. Yes, that's a fair point. It's a good point. Thank you. But the point being, like, I don't really get this for them. So maybe they're selling off pieces. Like if Hunter Renfroe's available, that's a
They
call
just sold one in Waller.
I'd imagine his value is going to be comparable to Waller's. He's probably worth a little bit more, but that was it was a 3rd round pick. That was the 100th pick, right? It was the pick the Giants got for trading Kadarius Toney. Patriots have the 76th pick in the 3rd round. Like that's actually worth sneaky a lot more than the 100th.
Yeah.
Does that get it done? I would do that. And maybe you throw on one of those 6th round picks you have. 3rd and a 6th for Hunter Renfroe. You have a year of team control under him. He's a scheme fit again. He's proven he can produce in the league. Yeah.
I still would want a little bit bigger of a splash.
I'm not saying that would be my favorite move in the world, but when you're talking about straight up a pick for a player, that's what I always ask myself. Mm-hmm. Is the receiver you're going to, especially this year, in a year that I think is must win for the Patriots, and you can't really look ahead and be like, hey, this guy's going to be great in 3 or 4 years. At least not, you can't do that with your top 100 picks.
Right.
Is any receiver you take at 76 going to do more for you in 2023 than Hunter Renfroe? I certainly don't think so. Right.
But you can't look at, wouldn't want to look at a draft pick in a vacuum like that though. Like the 76th pick is worth more than just the 2022 season. Or the 2023 season.
I don't think they have the luxury to view it that way. They have to win this year because or at the very least, they have to put a competitive offense together. Because if you don't put pieces around Mac Jones, you're back to square one.
But if that is truly,
if you're Bill, like where's Bill at right now? Three playoff misses in 4 years, no playoff wins in 5 years. They've got to win.
Yeah,
they can't do another bridge year. They just turned what should have been the least bridge year of all time into a bridge year. They cannot go back to another bridge year.
I still have a hard time with Belichick on the hot seat. I do. I get it. But I still think,
forget Belichick being on the hot seat, though. Forget that.
Well, that's what we're insinuating. We can call it.
Okay, so maybe a little bit, and that's fair. I did insinuate that. But let's even step back from that. Forget that they're the Patriots. It's year 3 of a quarterback on a rookie deal. Any team in the league.
100%. True.
Right? If any team did that, if the Jets did that, if the Browns did that, if the Broncos did that, if the Cowboys did, if any other team did that, Mike, we would sit here and say that they're being irresponsible with their assets, that you don't bridge year a rookie quarterback in his 3rd year, especially a guy that's actually shown you something. Like with the Jets, it's different. Zach Wilson showed them nothing at all ever. The reality is the Patriots aren't making the move the Jets are making right now to go get Aaron Rodgers. So you remain in on that rookie quarterback. It is too soon to tear the whole thing down.
So that's why I want them to do more than Hunter Renfroe.
Okay, so
that's kind of the point I'm making.
That's totally fair, and I'm glad you brought that up. Like, I think Judy's a bigger hit than Renfroe. I think Hawkins is a bigger hit than Renfroe. I wouldn't sit here and say trading a 3rd for Hunter Renfroe is a bad move. That's kind of my point. It's like if that's the move they make, it's a hell of a lot better than nothing. And it could be a lot worse. But I'm with you in that where I hope they swing higher as well. I agree with you on that 100%.
Right. If we want to use the facts that it is a 3rd-year quarterback going into his 4th, or a quarterback going into his 3rd season, right before the 5th-year option has to kick in, a real year that a lot of teams have used this model. Work him in 2 years, then go get him a guy to really work with. We talk about it ad nauseum on the show, but I don't want that to be Hunter Renfroe. I want it to be Jerry Jeudy is kind of my point, or DeAndre Hopkins. So again,
I'm with you on that.
You're with me, but I would agree that going to get Renfroe for 76 would be better than trotting out Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne next year. Obviously, we'll see where that goes. They could also go to the draft with guys, Zay Flowers, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Curious to see how they go from there.